Greetings from SEPHER Publishing Group, and welcome to another edition of SEPHER Moments. I'm Dr. Stephen Pigeon. Today we are going to be discussing the question, is it Yisra'el, or Yashar'el? And this is going to be a great subject, I think. I think you're going to like this. We begin with a very famous passage from 2 Chronicles 7:14. Many of you know this passage. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and I will heal at their land. Well, of course, this begs the question, who are the people called by his name? And of course, when we ask that question, who are the people called by his name, we have to ask the question, what is his name? Now, here's where we get into some of these issues, because of course we know that Christian is not a person who is called by his name. Christ is not his last name. Just like Hamashiach in the Hebrew is not his last name, it is a title. Christ means the anointed one, the anointed Messiah. Mashiach or Messiah means the same thing, the anointed one, the anointed one. It's not a name, it's a title. So to say Christian is to not be a person called by his name. So then you say, well, maybe we're Jesusonians. Well, nobody calls themselves that. Or maybe we're Yeshuans. Nobody calls themselves that. We have people saying we're Nazarenes. We have people who say we're followers of the way. We have, nobody is an Iesusian. Nobody is an Elohimian. So you have some very interesting issues. Who are these people who are called by his name? And so we begin with the question, what is his name? Now, some people say, well, you shall not use Yah as a title for Yahweh, because Yah is somehow a shortened, name like Bob for Robert, or Dave for David, or Steve for Stephen. But truly, it's not, because Yah actually appears as Yah in that configuration in Scripture some 45 times. We laid that out in the preface to the Eth CEPHER, how many times it's found as Yah and Yah alone in the underlying Hebrew, in the original underlying Hebrew. Now, other people say, well, Yahweh is not the name at all, but the real name is Ehaya, Asher, Ehaya, or however you might want to pronounce that. Well, I want to discuss that for just a moment, because that particular passage is really kind of interesting. And again, you get into these nuances of the Hebrew that are, they're not confusing, but they're very interesting because they have many meanings. And so what you see in this passage that says, I tell them that it is I who sent you, I am that I am is who sent you. Well, okay. In the Hebrew, some people say Ahaya Asher Ahaya, other people say Haya Asher Haya. But what you find is you see this word Ahaya, which is spelled Aleph He Yod He, and then Asher, which is Aleph Shin Resh, and then of course Ahaya, which is Aleph He Yod He. So, you have, that's how it's spelled. Now, but if you'll notice in each three words, you have Aleph, Aleph, Aleph beginning all three words. One construct in terms of learning Hebrew is that Aleph is a letter that has no sound, kind of like Ayin also has no sound. There are letters that have no sound. You can assign a sound to them, but otherwise they have no sound. They're silent letters, kind of like, the E at the end of, pilot, or the E at the end of escape. The E is not pronounced, the E is silent. And in this case, we have this with these alephs, that they're silent. And so what you have is you have a signatory here that is showing you, really, that this is the divine Godhead, for lack of a better word, that is this mark of the aleph. The aleph now following that Haya. The aleph now following that Sher. And the aleph now following that Haya. Now, if that's the case, Sher or SHAR has its own meaning. Now you see it a lot of times in the Masoretic or in the Strongs as Sar or Sarah, but the Shin in the original text had no dot over it. Therefore it could have been Shin instead of Sin, and it would have been Shar instead of Sar. And if it is Shar, then we're talking about the prince, okay? Haya, the prince, Haya. And the Haya, when you have the He at the beginning, the He many times is simply the prefix Ha, which means the. For instance, Ha Mashiach, the Messiah, Ha Kodesh, the Holy Ruach, the Holy Spirit, Ha Kodesh, Ha Mashiach. The Ha is a prefix meaning the to the word. You see this in the name Hagar or Hagar. You remember Hagar, Abraham's concubine, right? Or who was supposed to be his I forget what they call it, the woman who was going to give birth to a son on behalf of Sarah, and who broke the bargain and said, I'm not leaving the son and I'm not leaving here. And so, but Hagar, if you look closely at that in the Hebrew, you see that the ha is a prefix, and the word is actually Hagar, which means the stranger. Hagar, the stranger, not Hagar, some formal name. Hagar, the stranger. You have the same thing with the name Hevel, or Hevel, which is in the Old English, Abel, Cain and Abel, but really in his name in Hebrew is Hevel. But the Hevel could very easily be a ha, of the prefix the, and Evel. And if it's ha-avel, then his name means the lamentation, because his blood continues to cry out from the soil, the lamentation. So we have a similar situation here. He, so the aleph is silent, he means the, and then you have ya, the ya, ya meaning I am, the I am. The prince, SHAR, the I am, okay? Or Asher, which is the I am. All right, so we find out that this prior to the construction of creation, that is to say, prior to Genesis 1:1, Yah, the great I am, existed. Period. And known as Yah. Just Yah. Yod, He, Yah. Once the creation begins, we have Yahweh, Yod, He, Vav, He, Yahweh, the creative force, which means in the Hebrew, I am, He, I am, Yah, who, He, Hua, breathes life. I am He who breathes life. So Yahweh, I am He who breathes life. And then when that Yahweh is made manifest in the flesh and tabernacles among us, his name is Yahusha. Yahusha, I am He, Yah, I am who, He, I am He who saves. Shah, I am He who saves, Yahusha. And I come in the name of the Father, Yahuwah. Yahusha comes in the name of the Father, Yahweh, and you do not know me. Well, now let's take a look and let's see if we can answer this question. Who are the people called by my name? Well, if you go back and you look at this title given to Yisra'el, okay? Yisra'el. Before we get to that, let's talk about a couple of things. One is, we have one of the books that you find in the Eth CEPHER is this book, Yashar'el, or in the Hebrew, Yashar. Yashar. Now, Yashar, again, you have this idea of Yah, I am, Shar, the prince. Okay, Yashar, I am the prince. But Yashar together means the prince of Yah, the prince of Yah. Okay, Yashar. And so here's this book. It's mentioned in Joshua 10:13, and it's mentioned in Samuel, 2 Samuel 1:17-18. And you have this idea of Yashar. But now what about what we find here in Devarim 32:15, Deuteronomy 32:15? And it says this, but Yashar'un waxed fat and kicked. You are waxen fat, you are grown thick, you are covered with fatness. Then he forsook Eloah, who made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his Yeshua, that is salvation. He lightly esteemed the rock of his Yeshua, the salvation. Well, what you see here in Yashar'al is we are talking about describing the tribes of Israel in the wilderness, Yashar'al. And Moshe was a king in Yashar'al. He was a king among the tribes of Israel in the wilderness, Yashar'al. Well, how do you spell that? Well, you spell it like Yashar, Yod Shin Resh, there's Yashar. And then you have Yod Shin Resh, Vav Nun Safit. Yashar'on, Yashar'on, right? So you see that you have this Nun Safit, and you have this Vav at the end of Yod Shin Resh. So Ya, Yod He, Yashar, Yod Shin Resh. Yah's prince, Yashar. Yashar'un, the people of Yashar, in the wilderness, Yod Shin Resh, Vav Nun. All right. Now, how do you spell Israel? Yod Shin Resh, Aleph Lamed. Aleph Lamed El. El Shaddai, El Elyon, Eloah, Elohim, Aleph Lamed. Okay, some people say Al, Elohim, Al, Eloah, etc. But you see the Aleph Lamed, okay? Aleph Lamed at the end. But the first three letters are Yod Shin Resh, Yashar, Yashar, okay? Now, if we're talking about Yashar'el, Now let's take a look at this passage where we first see this word, Yod Shin Resh, Aleph Lamed. It's Bereshith, Genesis 32:28. And he said, your name shall be called no more YACOV, but Yashar'el. For as a prince, you have power with Elohim and with men and have prevailed. Okay, so you see here that you have this term for as a prince. That is to say in the Hebrew, SHAR. SHAR. As a prince, SHAR. So that tells you that it is not Yisra'el, but Yashar'el. 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 You have a prince, you have power with Elohim and with men and have prevailed. Okay? Now, so we begin to answer this question. If the people who are called by my name, well, who are the people called by his name? Which people have the name Yah in their name? There's only one. It's Yashar'el. Now, before we depart from this subject, let's get a little more explosive, shall we? If we assume that in fact this Yod Shin Resh, that the Shin is in fact a Shin and not a Sin, that is to say it's pronounced Shah. Now let's take a look at Yisra'el. Yisra'el. What would that mean? That would mean the evil man, Ra, Ra, man, Ra, evil, of El. The evil man under El, Yisra'el. That's different than Yashar'el. Yashar'el, okay? Bereshith, Genesis 35:10. And Elohim said to him, your name is YACOV, your name shall not be called any more YACOV, but Yashar'el shall be your name. And he called at his name Yashar'el. And Elohim said to him, I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of you, and kings shall come out of your loins. And at the land which I gave Abraham and Yitzchak, to you I will give it, and to you and your seed after you will I give at the land. Now, it says here that a nation and a great company of nations will come of you. Okay. What was the blessing given to Ephraim and Manasseh in Bereshith 48? Ephraim, you shall be a company, a great company of nations, and Manasseh, you shall be a great nation, right? So you see here that this blessing of Manasseh Ephraim comes right from this passage when he is named Yashar'el, and does the promise that is given to him that the land and to his seed after him is given to Yashar'el. And remember that the covenant given to Abraham became an oath to Yitzhak, which became a law, or in the Hebrew, chok, became a law unto Yashar'el. All right? All right. Now, in Jubilees, we have another passage here, right, where it reads, and the Creator of all things blessed it, but he did not sanctify all peoples and nations to guard the Shabbat thereon. But Yashar'el alone, them alone he permitted to eat and drink and to guard the Shabbat thereon on the earth. And further it says in Yovelim, that's Jubilees 31:18, and to Yehudah Judah he said, may Yahuwah give you the strength and power to tread down all that hate you. A prince shall you be. Now who's the prince? Who's the Prince of Peace from Judah? This is Mashiach. You and one of your sons. Over the sons of YACOV, may your name and the name of your sons go forth and traverse every land and region. Then shall the other nations fear before your face, and all the nations shall quake, and all the people shall quake. In you, in Judah, shall be the help of YACOV, and in you be found the Yeshua of Yashar'el. That's Jubilees 31:18, as written in the Eth CEPHER. So, these are the reasons why the Eth CEPHER is moving to the term Yashar'el and not Yisra'el any longer. Thank you for joining us at CEPHER Moments. We'll see you again. Blessings.